On this day, May 17th, 1995, this man named Shawn Nelson just entered this U.S. Army pavilion here in San Diego, California. Now, before I continue with the rest of the story, let me tell you a little bit of Shawn Nelson's background. Otherwise, you might be a little confused as to why he did this in the first place. Shawn Timothy Nelson was born on August 21st, 1959. He joined the Army in 1978 and became a tank driver, but after he kept being rude to his commanders, he was discharged from the Army in 1980. Shawn got married in 1984 and also became a successful plumber. But then things started to go wrong. In 1988, his mother passed away, and in 1990, his girlfriend divorced him after Shawn started becoming obsessed with alcohol. Later on, he was involved in a motorcycle accident, and he had neck and back problems after the incident. But after he went to the Sharp Memorial Hospital in San Diego, California, he sued them because he thought they were not treating him properly. He sued for about $1 million, but he lost the case. But then the hospital countersued him, and he had to pay over $6,000 in medical expenses and legal fees. In 1992, Shawn's dad, named Fred, passed away. In June of 1994, all of his plumbing tools were stolen. Because of this and his neck and back injuries, Shawn could no longer work. And later on, he began to dig a 17-foot hole in his backyard. I believe he did this because he was drunk, but he also said, quote, he was digging for gold. Because Shawn could no longer work, he wasn't making money. And because he wasn't making money, he wasn't paying any of his house bills. So around this time, his utilities were shut off, including his power and water. The final blow that pushed Shawn over the edge came in April of 1995 when his second girlfriend left him. On May 17th of 1995, I believe he had a mental breakdown, so that's why he did what I'm about to explain. So Shawn either entered that entrance over there, this entrance over here, or another entrance right over there. I don't know which one he entered, but regardless, when he entered into the Army pavilion, he got into one of the tanks there and tried starting it up, but it didn't start. He went to another tank and tried starting that one, but that one didn't start. But when he tried getting into a third tank, one of the people working here actually saw him get into the tank and was about to go up to him and tell him, like, hey dude, what are you doing? But it was too late as he started the tank, and I'm pretty sure he exited out of this entrance right here and went on to this street right here and started driving right over there. And this tank actually right here, even though this is a different tank from the one he drove, it's still the same model that he drove down this road right here. Shawn Nelson is now inside a stolen M60A1 patent tank, and he left the pavilion probably right here as he now entered this street right here that I was just pointing at. And right about here is where he turned onto this neighborhood street called Ashford Street and continued driving up the road. And approximately right here is where he committed his first act of vandalism. So Shawn's tank is heading down this area. And when he comes down, he gets up onto the curb right here and completely takes out this fire hydrant right here. And the tank gets back onto the road for only a little bit before the tank comes up. And right here is where the tank went up onto the curb and completely flattened a car that was on this driveway right here before he continued down the street. Now, this video footage you're seeing right here is real video footage of Shawn Nelson's tank. As you see right here, he goes over the fire hydrant that I was just pointing at and continues down the road, and now he goes up onto the driveway and flattens the car as he continues driving down the street. After Shawn flattened the car and took out the fire hydrant, he continued driving up the street right here and made a left turn on Baghdad Street, and right about here is where he committed his next act of vandalism. So now we are currently on Baghdad Street, as the tank comes right through here. And right in front of this house right here was a truck with a little RV attached to it. The tank came right through here and crashed right through the RV as the tank continued on. And approximately right around here was a van as the tank came right through on here, crashed into the van, and the tank now started to push the van back towards this way. Right around here as well, the van that he smashed right into a trash can. So now the van and the trash can are now being pushed by the tank as they continue down the road. And right here was a motorhome, and the tank came right through here and smashed right into the side of the motorhome as he pushed it out of the way and then made this left turn right here. After Shawn crashed into the motorhome, he made a left turn right here on Ben Street, and approximately right here in front of this house is where he committed his next act of vandalism. As the tank continued down this street, the tank completely flattened a truck that was standing right here. So this car is actually standing exactly where the tank came and crushed half of the truck as he continued down Armstrong Street. Here's video footage of Shawn running over the truck on the street right there before he makes a right turn on Armstrong Street. After he flattened the truck on the side of the curb, he made a right turn on Armstrong Street right here, and as he headed up the road, he made a right turn on Beale Street and made another right turn onto Blick Street, and right about here is where he committed his next act of vandalism. So the tank came down the street right here, and right where this car is parked, the tank came right here and flipped up a car and flipped it upside down and landed it on top of a truck that was also parked right here. So this car was flipped upside down on top of the truck that was laying right there. As the tank continued on, it made a left right back on Armstrong Street. Now, before I show you the video footage, I just want to let you know, because this was filmed on a helicopter, the landing gear of the helicopter blocks a little bit of the view of what Shawn did to the two cars. So sorry if you can't really see, but here's the video footage. After he flipped the car over on top of the van, the tank continued down here and made a left turn right back on Armstrong Street. And as he continued down the road, right about here in front of this house is where he committed his next act of vandalism. As the tank continued down Armstrong, right around here, there was a van turning this way and now started heading towards the tank, which was quickly rushing towards the van. In order to avoid getting crushed, the van drove up onto the sidewalk right here. As the tank just passed it, it continued down the street. After the truck ran up onto the curb right here, the tank continued down and attempted to make a left turn on Beagle Street, but the tank failed as it crashed right through the yard of this house and actually almost smashed into the house. But he backed up and then made this turn, smashing into that fire hydrant right there as he continued down Beagle Street right here. Here's the video footage of Shawn almost running the car over as it pulls onto the sidewalk. And we're fast forwarding a little bit here, but here he is going over the intersection and almost crashing into the house after failing that left turn. And just like in a regular car, he just backs up onto the road, well, half onto the road, and continues forwards. And there he is running over the fire hydrant as he continues down Beagle Street. After nearly crashing into the house and running over the fire hydrant, the tank continues down Beagle Street right here. And right about here, in between these two houses, is where he almost killed someone. As the tank came through right here, there was a car that drove down right here, stopped right around here as the tank came up towards it and threatened to flatten the car along with the driver. But the driver backed up and went onto the curb right here as the tank continued on down the street right here. Here's the video footage of Shawn almost running over the car. So you can see it on the side of the road right there, and right here he backs up onto the curb to prevent himself from getting run over as the tank continues down the road. After nearly running over the car, the tank continues down the street right here, and right here he makes a left turn onto Linda Vista Road as he drives over the overpass on the freeway, and then it turns into Convoy Street. And right about here in front of this Costco is where he committed his next act of vandalism. As the tank continued down the street right here, he pulled up onto this curb and completely took out that fire hydrant. As the tank continued down the street right here, the tank continued down the street. As he pulled right up to this intersection over here, you see this light post right here? He went up and completely destroyed the light post as he continued across the intersection and took out that light post right there as he continued down the street. Here's the video footage of the tank running over the fire hydrant as you see right there, and he continues down the street that I was just pointing at. And as you see, he gets up to the intersection right here, and right about here you can see the light post, and then boom, he just crashes right into it as he crosses the intersection and takes out the other light post on the other side as he continues down the street. After running over the fire hydrant and taking out 2 of the stoplights at the intersection, the tank continues up the street right here, and right about here, right past this Wiener Schnitzel, is where he committed his next act of vandalism. As the tank came down this intersection right here, past this Wiener Schnitzel, the tank came up onto the curb right here and completely took out this light pole as it crashed on top of the tank as the tank continued on down the intersection right here. This video was captured by a witness who was inside of a Firestone parking lot. And you can see the tank driving down the street. And you see right here, he goes up onto the curb, and you see the Wiener Schnitzel in the background. And right here, he takes out the light post as it crashes on top of the tank as he continues dragging it to the next intersection. So the tank came down right through here. You can see the Wiener Schnitzel right over there. It made a left turn, and the light post that was stuck on top of the tank hit this light post, and it knocked the light post off of the tank as the tank continued on that way. And I can tell you that this is the original light pole he struck, and that's because if you look right here, there's a nice dent where the light post hit right here, and it knocked the light post off of the tank as the tank continued down Balboa. After the tank hit the light post and the light post was knocked off of the tank continued down Balboa Street, and right here, he entered the 805 freeway and started to drive down the freeway, and right about here, under this footbridge, is where he tried to commit his next act of vandalism. So the tank entered the freeway right over there and started driving down the freeway under this road bridge, but he was being followed by more than 20 police cars, so he turned and hit one of the pillars under the bridge right here. I believe he was trying to knock the bridge over to create a barrier between him and the police cars on the freeway, but the tank did not have enough energy to break down the pillar, so he backed up back onto the freeway and continued down over there. Here is a better angle of the bridge. The pole he hit was this one right here. This bystander shooting this video footage is actually standing pretty close to where I stood on the freeway, but as you see, the tank is coming down the freeway and he's being followed by more than 20 police cars. So you see right here, he pulls up onto the curb and hits the pillar that I was just showing in the previous video, trying to knock the bridge over, but of course, the tank does not have enough power to take it down, so he backs up back onto the freeway and continues driving down the freeway. After the tank tried and failed to take down the road bridge, the tank continues down the 805 freeway right here, and right here he enters the transition onto the 163 South, and right about here on the freeway is where the tank rampage finally came to an end. So the tank came down the freeway, and he tried jumping over the freeway right about here, but he failed and he high-centered it as he dragged the tank along and stopped right where that patch is on the freeway. All the police cars came up, they ordered him out of the tank, but when he refused, he was shot right in the neck, and after he was shot, he was taken down to the hospital right there. So the tank came to rest right over there, and after Shawn was shot in the neck, he came over here to Sharp Memorial Hospital, where he will eventually die from his wounds. And yes, this is the very same hospital that he stayed in after his motorcycle accident, and the same hospital that he sued and lost.